Hi, Mr. Walsh. This is my low-card exchange principal lab. I'll be using my sister's flannel that she wore the other day and my socks that I just wore outside. To begin, I'll be using the lifting method using packaging tape. At a crime scene, investigators often use tape to collect evidence for its adhesive characteristics. When investigators choose to use tape, it is often when they are looking to obtain DNA evidence such as cells from the inside of gloves, or maybe even fingerprints. When investigators use tape on items such as clothing, they are looking for DNA evidence still, or more likely, they are looking for fabric or material that does not belong. For the purpose of this lab, I am trying to obtain pieces of fabric to see if they match the fabric of the flannel or if they came from somewhere else. Looking at the evidence I got here from this flannel, we can see some fabric pieces within here. It appears that these pieces belong to the flannel though. When I was removing the tape of these pieces, I saw that they came from the stitching within the flannel. While I can also observe my own fingerprints within this tape, I can assume that the exchange of particles occurred. If this was a real crime scene, I would not want my fingerprints to be on the evidence because that would be tainting of the evidence, and this here shows the low-cards principle. Here, similar to the way that I used the lifting method to obtain evidence from my sister's flannel, I did the same thing with my socks that I walked outside in. Here I have lifted what appears to be a small pebble, more specifically a brown, tiny, thin rock. This rock matches the rock that surrounds the bushes and shrubs in the front of my house. So therefore I can assume that I have brought tiny pebble from outside to the inside, and I must have left something there, such as maybe a hair. This again would be the low-cards principle. Now on to the picking method using tweezers. Investigators use this method most often to obtain evidence off of objects that are visible to the naked eye, such as a hair. Picking up hair with tweezers can allow the investigators to ensure that the physical evidence gets back to the lab for examination without being tainted. Here I am picking up a hair. This shirt is my sister's. She wore it the other day. Her hair and my hair have very similar characteristics and appearance. So someone who is not a professional, such as myself, without the tools to gain a closer look, cannot say whether it is hers or mine. This hair is mainly class evidence, without the roots containing DNA. If the hair here is mine, then this directly shows the low-cards principle because it shows that I have left or exchanged particles with the scene, and in this case, more specifically, the evidence. Now I will be using the picking method on my socks. Here I have obtained a piece or pieces of grass. I assume that these pieces of grass came from my neighbor's sidewalk as they had just got their lawn mowed a few hours prior to me walking on their sidewalk. I will now begin using the scraping method. At a crime scene, investigators use this method of scraping evidence, particularly with large stains. They do this with blood stains or other liquids that cause stain to bring it back to the lab for examination under a microscope or other high-powered technological tool. I have found a dirt-looking stain. My sister went to the pumpkin patch the other day when she wore this, so I can assume that the dirt came from the pumpkin patch. This would then be low-cards principle because she left particles there as well as taking some particles with her. If this shirt was a piece of evidence in an actual crime scene, the dirt would allow the investigators to put together the actions of the criminal or victim based on the dirt and where they assume that it came from, and this can help to recreate a crime scene. Lastly, I will be using the scraping method again here on the socks. It appears that I have found some pollen or dirt or dust. This could have come from anywhere outside. That kind of stuff is just everywhere. But I have brought it inside, which again is low-cards principle. I have exchanged particles with the outside. I can assume that the sidewalk, due to its texture, took some of the lint off my socks, which would show the low-cards principle even more. Post-lab questions have been answered on my OneNote. Thank you for watching my low-card exchange principle lab.